at a certain point, you realize we are all just playing at a game. We are all acting in a certain way to be perceived. That is what we do. We run our own public relation enterprise to try and create or elicit a reaction from someone. What happens if you meet one of the most amazing people in your life and they can't stand to be touched? They can't stand eye contact. What if that was a child that was told, you are not worth it to look someone in the eye? You don't have what it takes for people to respect you. They are a kind soul, a sweet heart. And because of that, they can't greet you. Good day, sir. Good day, ma'am. So nice to meet you. We all have their face. Come on. Seriously. If you take the mask off and I greet people the way I want to, I'd be like, yo, what's up? Of hoe lyk het? Of hoe gaan dit? Pure happiness and joy to see someone and actually giving them embrace because that's who I am. Why? Why is this so ingrained in our lives? You can't take one thing, singular it out and say, this is how I learned to trust someone. Your perception, my perception of what good people look like. Let me tell you something. Whenever my mother met someone, she would introduce herself, have an open conversation because she's an open person. When you ask my mom, what do you think of that person? She would always say, oh, she's very nice. I found her to be X, Y, and Z. Why? Because my mother is not about a perception. She was looking at this person, learning from them, and just accepting who they were. Do you do that? I walk into a room and I feel the energy. I can tell you when it's not happy energy in the room and I am on edge. I am anxious because I can feel the energy. Now all of a sudden someone walks up to me and they give me a proper smile. I'm talking about those where the crow's feet show and the cheeks are up and it's just happiness. It's just like this face. It's not stern, I look you in the eye and I shake your hand. It's that person and say, wow, you look overwhelmed. Or I can see you sitting here alone. Are you comfortable for me to sit next to you? This is overwhelming. I'd much rather be the other guy because I would much rather go to the person sitting there alone and have a conversation with them. Because you know what? That's going to be so much more real than the perceived notion of how I'm supposed to act in public and around people. And as a woman, where my space should be. We can't throw out certain rules and throw out other rules and bring in certain things to make people fit our perception. In coaching, and it's by chance that I didn't take my ADHD medication before I went. So I was in a rush, I was late again. But sitting there, not being directly focused on what was being said, but my mind literally going in spirals. I was so grateful that I wasn't in focus mode because all I could do is just think about what these people are saying. What are they telling you? What is your reputation? Your reputation is, this is the mask I choose to wear when I'm around people. And that is who they think I am. And then if you look at psychology, everybody's wearing a mask. Everybody wants you to look at them in a certain way, and that is what they'll be portraying. When I meet someone, I always think to myself, what are they trying to tell me about how they communicate, what they are saying to me? What is it? What is the hidden message of, oh, I am so successful. I have 500 employees. I live in Clifton, wherever. I'm this person with this big status, and their status is significant to them because that is how they get their respect. and how they show the elevation in life and class. I have met someone probably richer than most of those dudes in Clifton that don't owe a cent on their property, living in another place in the world, that wears the same t-shirts, that would pay, I don't know, 100 Rand a shirt, and they are damn good people. And I love those people, because when you find out, oh, they actually do have a lot of money, those are the people you want to be around. Because the money, the status, how I want to be perceived, there's that word, perceived. It's not there. They don't actually care about what you think. They don't care to buy the mansion. I do want people to perceive me in a certain way, of how I carry myself. I speak in a certain way, pronounce certain words. Look, people made fun of my accent so many times, and I kid you not. When I say certain words, I roll my R, blah, 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 blah. There's a way I said it because I wanted to make the pronunciation correct to sound more English, right? That's the mask. Didn't want people to know I'm Afrikaans and I come from, well, it's a city now, but I came from a town and it was just a normal place. I didn't grow up in some fancy place. So I wanted people to perceive me in the corporate world in a certain way. And then I speak like that. And listen, people have openly been making fun of me in my face. And they say it, and often I just left it. I just thought, oh, well, if you're having a laugh at my expense, that's great. Until one day I said, does it make you feel better to like poke fun at me when I say this? Do you know what? They couldn't answer me because they were like, oh shit, she's in on it. She figured out I'm making fun of her. Duh, of course I know you're making fun of me. And I am quite fine with that. I'm fine with the fact that you make fun of how I speak. Honestly, go for it. Afrikaans kids are the worst. English kids trying to speak Afrikaans to them, oh my word, they will hackle you. They are going to laugh at you. They're going to say, oh, say it again. But with an English kid, they're not going to tell you, oh, you sound terrible saying that. They're not going to make fun of you because you're trying to communicate to them in their language, right? So come on, guys. Perception, man. It was just mind-blowingly obvious. And the spiral my mind went down, thinking about, I was taught certain things, although I wasn't brought up traditionally where my mother forced these things. There's still a way people want you to show up. There's still a way you want to show up. Show up for what, truly? What defines the one person getting more respect than the other person? What defines social status? I drive a Volkswagen. How does that make me better when someone has a Ferrari? In the bigger scheme of life, look, I'm a car person and I find significance in driving cars. The installments I pay on my car, I dread it. Although I think it's I absolutely adore it, and I would much rather not have the installment to pay a car. But when this one's paid off, it's paid off. I cannot see myself wanting to go and buy another car again because it has everything that I want. Where when I was younger, man, like every 2 years, do you know how much money I've lost? It depreciates in value, you trade it in. It's the biggest pyramid scheme ever, right? Because I wanted the nice things, I wanted the shiny things, because I look, right? How I look. And I used to take a lot of pride. I still do. I take pride in how I present myself, because this is something within me that helps me with my confidence. It helps me to show up more confidently when my hair's done. Every time I go through something new to my life, I go and I cut my hair short or I color it. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Woman who cuts her hair is about to change her life. And it's a fact. But every time I cut my hair, I'm frustrated because, oh man, it was almost that long. And now I'm just like, I'm growing it out. When I get the urge, Like, go do something else. Like, I paint something. Come on. It's irrelevant, guys. But what I'm saying is, when did perception of the masks that everybody around us become respect? When? Do you know who I respect? Do you know what I respect? If I have an opposing opinion to someone else and they don't lose their shit when I give my opinion. Not that I want to argue, but I want to have a valuable conversation. And all of a sudden they get irritated and give you this forceful answer, and like, visibly you can see the agitation because you're engaged. You wanted that connection in the conversation. You're engaged, and they physically get upset. It's visible on their face, on their demeanor, and because sometimes my social cues are off, I think this is having a fun conversation because we are at opposing ends of this conversation. I might learn something from you, you might learn something from me. And then all of a sudden, something erupts and you get a finalized statement. As in, no one's going to tell me any different because this is what I believe. And they get up and they leave. And I wonder, oh shit, what did I just do? Was I disrespectful? Because I wasn't. I was actually enjoying the conversation and I wasn't saying anything to discredit this person. I was actually just speaking about what significance in this area means to me and how much more things are connected, because I like to join the dots. And somehow it became personal and they felt I was attacking them directly. I'm like, oh, how did I miss this? How did I not realize I was being one of those people? How did I not realize that people were offended? Why were you offended? Like, you could say to me in that conversation, and I really think I'm approachable like this. You could say to me, like, I actually find what you're doing disruptive or disrespectful. And I'll ask you why. Why do you perceive this to be rude? People don't do that. They get up and they go somewhere else, and then they go and bitch about you, how horrible you are and opinionated you are and how you think you know it all. That's also okay. It's okay. Like, I am fine with the fact that you have to unleash your frustration. I'm really cool with that. At the same time, I feel it would have been more respectful to come to me and say, this is how this interaction felt to me. This is how, maybe not in the moment because you are pissed off or you're frustrated. I get it if you can't in the moment say that because you have to get your emotions out in a certain way. But come to me and talk to me. And I've even done this so often where I experience rejection, but it's an internal me thing. It's how I perceived this thing. And it wasn't the case necessarily. I felt the energy and I was observing, and what I was observing came through my eyes, my experiences, what shaped me, what brought that sensitivity into the bigger picture. And my perception was wrong. And when I had the conversation and openly said, look, and I like one-on-one conversations. I really do. I like to speak to someone in their face and have that conversation. And be comfortable enough to stay silent and listen. We don't do that anymore. People are more lonely today. And if you don't believe me, there are so many studies and statistics. I can bring up a reading list of notes when you look at the simulation state that we are in today. How we perceive things, how artificial intelligence has made a difference. I'm so sick of seeing these videos on social media of this child sitting on a porch and all of a sudden it's a snake or it's a tiger or it's a lion or a bear or freaking whatever crazy animal, and then the cat comes and then rawr, and then this thing runs away. Look, it might have happened once, maybe, but because of artificial intelligence, people watch that and they consume it until you realize, listen, this looks super fake. Like, this cannot be it. And then you get annoyed. And I've already got fatigue looking through social media and replacing it with microlearning. And why I attended this whole coaching seminar at the same time was they were talking about how we should carry. It's more than just yourself. It's not just about how I carry myself, but it's also how I can be more in tuned with the opposing opinions of that around me. And I think in corporate, I did this often. You get training, emotional intelligence training, and they reframe it in the professional setting and how it should be done and the way you ought to like get that information and just like, I don't know, be this genius emotionally. Some things sink, some things don't, some things stick, right? And what I found stick so often is awkward silence. For someone with impulse control like me, I hated silence. And even to this day, sometimes I can't go, just like, I struggle. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. More often than not, I'm being so mindful about just keeping quiet and just observing, first of all. And it's scary, guys. People, us, me, family, friends, just like people, I don't know. No wonder we're lonely. No wonder people find it hard to date these days. No wonder it's hard to make friends these days. Like, there's no tolerance. There's no tolerance of, she can come across as this or that or whatever the case might be, but inside, once you get to know her, she's actually quite nice. AKA, she's a bitch, but you'll get used to her, and once she lets you in, you'll see more of her, right? I think there was a stage, especially when we were growing up in like the 90s and the early 2000s, we wanted to have that bitchy status because I think most of the stuff we watched, it was a wild time, man. People were rebelling. The music was just way out there. It was just that time of when I would say the rebellion started of how our generation wanted to break out of things. So I literally remember every year, whichever grade we went to, the teacher would say, this year's grade 11s are the worst that I've ever experienced. I remember in grade, standard 5, grade 7, our math teacher, she was super loud, very loud, blonde woman, short hair. And she would just say, I cannot wait for you to go to high school and not be my problem anymore. I can sit here and laugh about it now because I'm thinking, yeah, we were very different. And I think to this day, you kind of zone in. I often feel like, what? Nothing I do makes sense. The work stuff. How does it make sense that I come to this place every day? I sit here for a certain amount of hours. I have a lifespan of estimation of, let's call it 70 years. I spend this amount of time at work, and the other times when I get home I'm tired chronically. I think the message today is quite simple. You are going up against the perception of things, and yes, are more likely to be manipulated based on things that you believe. Because if you get someone that is highly skilled in manipulation, if you get a narcissist, and this is what they are infamous for, that can read you and engage you and draw you in because this is what they do, because you're so stern in what you believe people should be, how things should be portrayed, how the respect is that you get, more suggestible. It's easier for people to create a narrative that you are going to be comfortable with. Ask yourself just one question. When I leave this conversation with this person, do I feel conviction? Do I feel I've summed them up? I know who they are. Damn, I wish I was a mind reader. Sometimes I just miss the social cues so badly that I don't, I think they're great people. Then someone had said to me, hey, no, they are horrible people. You must hear what they do behind closed doors. People say, oh, no. I'm so sick of what people say. I'm really over it. It comes down to the trust element. I felt after my previous life, I grieved my previous life. It expired. Nothing that happened really helped me. There was a stage where I was grateful for the lessons. Actually, I'm not. I could have much rather just been the person I am without having those experiences. And I'm sick of people trying to justify what I experienced was for some reason. It truly is an amazing thing if you can go through life without experiencing something. And there are a few things people have to do. I found myself doing it 2 years, embracing the victim role of trauma, etc., etc. I have kids, so I am going to censor a lot of the stuff I say because I don't want them to ever get the perception of that, and letting that go and just saying it's not part of me anymore because I really grieved. I had a release of anger and energy that I could disperse in other directions, stronger in convictions. It wasn't thanks to that because I was those things before I experienced what I experienced. And ultimately, I want to tell people this straight up. Just because you perceive something in a certain way doesn't make it true. Just because you have life experience, remember your experience is limited to the experiences you've had. It doesn't show you the world because your exposure is based on what you were exposed to. Count yourself lucky if you can see the world in a light where this is what respect looks like. I don't understand why are they this way? Think about this. You hear your neighbors fight, okay? They're having a big fat argument and you hear them scream and you just think, whoa, these people are wild. They're definitely not my kind of people. Fair. I didn't grow up in a household where there was fighting and screaming. I was very fortunate, really fortunate for it. A bit naive because I didn't realize that the world can be a harsh place. However, I'm grateful that I had that upbringing. I'm grateful that I wasn't exposed to that because I've seen the outcome of children living in a home where they're screaming and fighting and belittling, a husband and a wife belittling one another. Or, man, like when someone tells the other party to shut up, for instance, like, look, I've thought of this so many times. I myself have done this. I have told someone to shut up now. I did that, and I can't believe I became that person. I didn't like her very much. During that time, during that space, that little event, I was proud. I was like, oh, thank goodness she's standing up for herself. It was all so unnecessary. I'm 37, and I'm thinking to myself, time is precious, and people tell you this. And then you watch someone very special pass away, and they had that amount of time. What did it all actually mean? Really? What was that all about? When I count happiness, Mo Go, I always struggle to say his surname, Gaudat. Mo, please forgive me if I'm saying it incorrectly. But Mo had a book that he wrote. I mean, I read this 9 years. If I had to guess, probably like 9 years ago. And it's Soul for Happy. And he is a brilliant mind, like a really respected man, innovator, carried many titles throughout his life. One of the biggest ones was his association with Google. And you're like, wow, man, this guy he's got this life. Okay. And he speaks about it. He speaks about how lucky he was, how significant it was, what drove him to his success. And something terrible happened in his life, and it changed the way he saw things. But the message you sent was, you choose to be happy. Humans are born in a natural, happy state. Wow. Right? Think about a baby. When he said this, it's so true. When our babies cry, the first thing we want to do is we want to comfort them or make them laugh. If you're a parent, there are 50 reasons that you don't always understand immediately of why kids are unhappy. But once they have received the need they had, like if they are fed, if they are cleaned, if they have that thing that makes them happy. Man, they're smiling and laughing and they're happy. Burdens in life get added on. When you're done with school, you might study, you might not study, you might get your degree, you might become an entrepreneur, depending on what it is that you want to do. I've seen some great examples of people that didn't go to tertiary institutions and still made a phenomenal success of their lives. I respect that very much because I think in our generation, having a certain qualification was necessary. Because, how are you going to get a job one day? And look at the market, man, it's saturated. Right now, people are more unhappy than ever being at work because they have to fulfill what would have been three people's jobs because of how the world has changed. Profit, guys, that's it. It's about profit. What makes the company more money? This one person now being two people in one, and that person gets brainwashed and manipulated into this big corporate culture, sense of belonging, and this team. Look, you get team players, and I loved the fact that I could belong to this tribe. It was a tribe mentality and a tribe vibe at work. We succeeded and we had an amazing leader. Lots of our top management, my direct executive. I'm going to give you a shout out, Amit, because I think you taught me more about myself than I ever knew. He was a compassionate person. If you look at how he managed, how serious he could be, how he was a big empath, and it's unseen for people in a big corporate to have empathy. But then you look at the next level of from the C-suite level, how that was brought down into the culture of the department. A place of you belonging to an environment. Because truly, if you are unhappy at work, why do it? Why be there? And I'm thankful that I had the experience to be in a department that made me feel like I belonged so well. But the things that I have learned and what was part of that experience isn't, they weren't just talking about innovating the department, et cetera, et cetera. I was put in so many uncomfortable situations and things were thrown at me. I don't know if I had the capability. Like, I really don't think I had the capability, but invisible coaching, when I say invisible coaching, it was kind of like, I'm going to drop 2 or 3 seeds and tell you this random thing. You now have to plant and water it and see what's going to stick. You need to figure out what this thing is and how it's going to stick to the overall picture. Okay. I appreciated that so much more because often during school, don't tell me what to do. And then as a grown up, sometimes I'm not ready to be that grown up yet. So please tell me in explicit detail, step 1 to 10, of exactly what you want me to do because I'm afraid of failure. Failure was an option in that department. It gave me an opportunity to accept that certain things I failed at in life. Failed in so many different ways. And that's where the lessons came from. But receiving that, I can bring it down to having an elder in the village, and they've experienced so many things. And they would call it out, like literally, tangent queen. There was a stage where it was like tangent queen. Because if I go down the spiral, I go down it. And if I feel I'm objectively justified in what I think and what makes sense to me, it was so nice to be called out on it and said, like, whoa, just because you think of it and this is what you agree should happen does not mean a million other people should be experiencing at the same time, because it is significant to you and it's not going to be significant to someone else. I'm not in the 1% vibe and we all strive to be there. But like, I'm here and I want to be there. Okay. That's the hierarchy. And we chase it. We all chase the dream. We follow people that we look up to. That's the goal, right? That's what I'm going to do with my time. That's what I'm going to be chasing. Those are my dreams. I want to have the mansion. And look, I badly want a supercar. But when I say supercar, I mean like a supercar. And I want to race this thing around a track I don't think I want like a Formula One car. I'm going on a tangent here. But the thing is, I want that for me, for that exhilaration, but I don't think I'd drive it anyway because our roads suck. And quite frankly, I don't know if I'd want people to know that I have a supercar necessarily. Because then what's it for? Is it to impress or is it for me? And consciously, I took a very deliberate choice. And it was my choice, a very deliberate step of something that I wanted to do. And that was become more private because I found in that privacy, somehow there's a lot less drama and shit in my life and a lot less people saying things or forming opinions about me and my life and our family. It's just one choice. And you get people that really love fighters, and I commend it. It's amazing because social media is fake and it's always this highlight reel. And to me at the time, I just felt like I had such a crappy life before. Right now, I'm really happy and I've got so much to be grateful for. And I'm having these amazing experiences and I want to capture these memories. Like, legit, to me, it wasn't about, hey, everybody, look at me having the time of my life. It was like, I'm finally happy and I want to show people I'm happy. And now I'm kind of like, people don't want you to be happy. They don't want to see you living this thing because like there's more shit now. It's like some people just want you to be unhappy and stuck. Oh, it's like raining and it's cold outside, but I'm not even going to cut this because, all right. So the point I want to get to is living a more private life right now and not sharing so much. And it's hard for me because I'm a sharer. I love telling people, but I love opening up. If you speak to me and you ask me something, chances are I'm going to just answer you, regardless of how bad it makes me look. Then I found shame because talking about the things that we've done often is brought in. I am shameful of so many things in my life, and it brings me nowhere. Honestly, it doesn't bring me to a place where I can say it taught me something. It is what it is. That's what I live to. And right now, I'm choosing not to let the shame, I'm not going to let it hang over my head because it's pointless. It's actually quite stupid to have that above my head. What I found was that I was people pleasing. So I would much rather them understand me and understand why I did the things I did. I would be blatantly honest about the choices I've made. I would be very open about things in my life. And then all of a sudden I realized some people you shouldn't do that to because they're going to use it one way or another. They form this opinion, and before you know it, your reputation has been tarnished because people talk about other people. I'm not willing to put myself through exposing certain hurt, certain experiences just to please someone so that they understand me. Justifiably right now, I'm very happy that people don't understand me, and I'm very happy for them to have their opinions because that's what it is. It's their opinion. It sounds cocky. It's an egotistical thing right now. And in some instances, yes, it does bring true to the ego side of me. But at the same time, it brought peace to me as a person, life, living it, the time I spend, because I choose very wisely who I spend time with right now. I'm very purposeful with the things I watch, the learning I do. When I do something, and this has been fantastic, and I go onto social media a lot less often. When I talk about social media, I'm talking about like scrolling Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those. I'm very deliberate to not doom scroll anymore because it's not tickling my brainwaves. And being on a journey, discovering the ADHD side of things, discovering how much psychology has evolved and what's involved with ourselves and our beings, I listen to things purposefully that I can take something from and make something from it. If you look at the South African rugby team, guys, first of all, proud Springbok supporter, which, and I'm like, typically today, like, I'm actually kind of wearing the vibe. It wasn't intentional. I just thought of it coming up in my mind right now. What Rassie Erasmus did, I commend him because I think he is emotionally and mentally very, very strong. Is somehow he removed ego from the team. If you've ever watched Chasing the Sun, like there's 1 and 2, first of all, we South Africans are so hard on the Boks. If they lose, what do? We're like, yeah, we're so down on them and we have negative stuff to say. Guys, do you understand the pressure, the immense pressure these guys are under? I see, right? He goes, takes the Springboks, and he knows he's got his like work cut out for him. And then you watch Chasing the Sun with Kwamon in the book. Like, I was almost in tears for him and Mapimpi, their stories. And I think everybody's seen that reel on socials about him and his family and the number on the jersey and the way Rassie would cry. Those are all true emotions. You can't fake tears like that. He lives what he's teaching these guys. He brings toughness, the courageousness, and he humbles them, right? You get a manager, you get a coach, but to me, that's a leader's mentality. And what's been fascinating is how he's taken these guys that literally could have the biggest egos anyone could possibly have because of what they have achieved. And he humbles them. There was a game where they lost, and Rassie was like, they didn't suffer enough. He couldn't see the pain on their faces after losing. And he went back in that changing room, and I was like, oh, I can't believe the stuff he just said to them. And he called them out. And I was like, whoa. I joked with a few people, and I've said, like, South African rugby is like probably the best cult out there. Don't quote me on this, or whatever. Quote me if you want to. It's the best cult out there because they will follow Rassie because they know she will do what's best for them. Okay. Let me clarify cults. I'm not talking about like Jonestown. I'm not talking about the Manson family. Like, I'm not talking about it at that level. I am talking about the utter belief, the common purpose and goal. And leaders generally have that. They have that ability to bring people together and that sense of belonging. What he does is amazing, and that's he takes people on the streets of South Africa and he reminds them, you are here in this country, in this hotel but what about the guy that's not going to eat tonight? What about, that's who you're doing this for? Man, that's an amazing thing because that is so true and fundamental to South Africa. We have experienced a lot. As a country, we've been through a lot. As women in this country, our justice system is just, it sucks. Mental health in this country really sucks, and I'm calling it out. Support, understanding, corruption. I can bitch about that all day, but I don't want to bitch about it because we are, and the Springboks is probably like the best example of that. We know the politicians are what they are. We know that certain companies are who they are. We know how much money is being paid for these tenders, and all of a sudden it's gone. But we're like, in spite of that, like, we know they're corrupt. We have some politicians that should be in jail and was about to die, and all of a sudden now maybe this can get me into trouble, so I shouldn't say it, but some weird party just got established, and I'm like, didn't you, weren't you dying? Okay, anyway, South African guys, think about this for a moment. Despite all of that, if you just look at our sports, because I feel South Africans, we love sports, okay? Look at Athletics SA. Look at rugby. Look at cricket. There was, and I'm so bad with dates, where it was like the South African cricket team won. I think it was the netball team. The rugby won. When was the big sports show? Was it like last year? You guys can let me know. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before. He was just like, we're winning, and it looks amazing. And you can see the pride as South Africans that we have in our country, despite the shit that we have. And Rassie captures that so well. Phenomenal leader, and his team believe in him. When he makes a call, how do you take, right, the best rugby players, and I'm literally saying they want another championship now, they won the World Cup consecutively. How do you go and you take those guys, these big buff guys that have been like winning, and say like, yo dude, time out, you're not performing the way you should, and I'm adjusting players and I'm playing people on multiple positions. I know I'm a chick, I'm not supposed to be talking about rugby, like whatever. I also like rugby and I don't always understand it, and I can be super annoying and I scream sometimes because I don't even know what's going on. From a social, economic, government perspective, he's just like, we aren't doing it for the fat pockets of our politicians. We're doing it for the people of the country. I do think both those things can be true at the same time. It makes the guys upstairs look good if we keep winning. If you look at South African rugby, he was able to bring some of the top players to the World Cup both times. And looking at, and I was there for both capping ceremonies, and it was such an amazing experience. You hear the Arca Springboks and they're getting capped, and it's before the World Cup, and that feeling, it's like such an immense level of pride that was experienced. Wow. And somehow he kept them humble. And somehow, if you look at these rugby players, they believe in their destiny. If you look at how he's bringing in new players, younger players, with Mapimpi and with Lebok, if you looked at what he did to those guys, it was wow, man. That is true compassion, true emotion, true leadership. And I commend the captains, the players, everything, even though we don't always understand it. When you look at Chasing the Sun afterwards, we don't see that. We don't know what these guys go through, how the press put versions forward, like how hectic people are judging them for their performances. And it's sad, but it's amazing at what they keep doing. Look, I don't want that pressure. Don't want that pressure. I am so thankful that I'm not a dude and that I don't play rugby. I don't envy them, but I look up to dedication, determination. I want to thank you so much for watching today's episode with me, and just like thanks for checking in, guys, and hanging out with me for a bit to talk about this thing. The one thing I want to just close off with today is stop fighting perception. Somewhere along the line, you lose who you are, trying to be what you think other people want you to be because of their frame of reference. That makes no sense. It's quite backwards. I understand that we need to wear masks in certain instances, and look, truth be told, we all do. We all wear masks. And I can show you this today. Like, I want to show you. I was wearing my jammies, and I've got flip-flops and my socks on because I'm comfortable. But up here, I'm all business. And it's a perception, guys. It's a perception of what you should look like in front of this camera. And we got to figure out what the things are we invest time in. It's an investment. And if you spend time on perception and perception management, don't get lost, because it's inevitable for you to get lost. Living more authentically is ultimately the goal, and investing time and the moment you have in that time is valuable, because you're not spending it on the wrong things. You are in the moment, having the moment, and being consciously aware of how precious and special and unique it is to you. Have a wonderful week. Thank you for visiting me today. Thank you for checking in, and be blessed and stay safe.